Happy Friday, beautiful people. Happy Friday. It is August 11th, 2023, day 89 of year 5 of reading through books, laws, and prophets. Of the 5-year consecutive day count, it is day 1469. Today, we pick back up in Owaspy, the book of Fragapati, and we just going to read chapter 3. Right, and that begins on page 153 all the way to 155. Then we're going to hop back over here to the secret Nazarite scroll, officially called the Holy Megillah, and we're going to pick up with chapter 37, the first meeting of Yeshua and Peter the Ebionite. So, Father, we thank you for boldness to act on the truth that we learn. All right, beautiful people, who here in the house? Just me. Shalom, fam. On military time, so I've been rolling early again. Creator bless you all, and I'm holding down the seat in the background. Hey, drive safe, fam. Tikva. That's right, sis. We don't need gravity. All we need is growth, and every day we grow. Bless up, sis. Nazarene is seen, Grand Rising, Creator Gang, Family Lamb of Via says, greetings, my beloved, my dear beloved family. All praises to the Creator Gang, peace, love, and light. Easy, Grand Rising, everyone. And everybody else here already hanging out in the background. Happy Friday. All right, y'all, let's get into this so we can get as much read as we can this morning, because the weekend is upon us, and we won't be here Saturday and Sunday. All right. OCU. What's going on, fam? Light and peace. Owaspy College University. Oh, you chime in when we pick Owaspy back up. I see you, fam. Okay. It's been a long time. I'm just playing with you. Facebook user, peace and blessings. Remember, when you stream from the group, we don't know who you are. But if you don't want us to know who you are, then that's fine. That's fine. Mom, shalom. All right, beautiful people. Let's pick it back up. All right. The book of Fragapati, page 153 at the top, chapter 3. But the dawn came, and in the wing of Gu Machala. Okay, so it's a bunch of names in here that I'm sure I'm going to still screw up. So just forgive me ahead of time, right? Okay. But the dawn came, and in the wing of Gu Machala, home of Fragapati, Orion chief in the Etherian world's high standing, came the voice, Jehovah's word, saying, my son, behold, the dawn of Dan neareth the border of Horeb, the wailing earth, the red star cometh apace, and gods and lords call out the name of my infant son, Zarathustra. Fragapati rose up, hearing the voice, and saw the time fulfilled, the 200 years and more for the coming world, the time for the revealed word. The time for the revealed word to mortals. To thee, O Jehovah, he said, boundless, I come with my host, 10 millions strong. Fragapati went to the Etherian council of gods and goddesses. He said, the time hath come, the red star borders on the plains of Horeb, Jehovah calleth. And I think we've come to another one of these time periods, right, where there's going to be a massive change upon the earth, right? Fragapati went into the Etherian council of gods and goddesses. He said, the time hath come, the red star borders on the plains of Horeb, Jehovah calleth. Then the council rejoiced, for the weighty matters of hundreds of Etherian worlds were settled for a space of time, with promised rest and recreation in corporal fields. First spake Adar, god of many worlds, a decreer of time and Aegean vortices in the regions of Hisbian sons, saying, O Jehovah, give to thy son, Fragapati, 5 years rest, the dawn of earth and Dan, only the earth and her heavens to deal with. Let me read that again. I'm going to read the whole verse again. Okay. Then the council rejoiced, for the weighty matters of hundreds of Etherian worlds were settled for a space of time, with promised rest and recreation in corporal fields. First spake Adar, god of many worlds, a decreer of time in Aegean vortices, in the regions of Hispian sons, saying, O Jehovah, give to thy son, Fragapati, 5 years' rest, the dawn of earth and Dan, only the earth and her heavens to deal with. Next spake Vivaka, goddess of 3 Etherian worlds, the white-haired wielder of the smeeter of bars, period of oaths, carbon fashioner for the arks of Job and Saul. She said, O Jehovah, Almighty, what shall be the prayer of thy daughter, Fivka? What can her love devise for the rest and glory of our high God, Fragapati, Orion chief? Then spake Chessen, marshal in chief for 7 Etherian worlds, small man with flowing beard, brought forth from the star Ender. He said, O Jehovah, make me contributor of my much love to the rest and glory of our holy chief, Fragapati. Thus spake 10,000 gods and goddesses of their love, the high esteem for the worker, Fragapati, rich in power and wisdom and love above all Etherian gods and Horeb. Fragapati said, 10 million strong my host shall be on the earth and her heavens during her dawn of Dan. 5 years and 50 days shall we have no other labor, thus making it as a holiday for gods and goddesses to redeem the fallen world. Fragapati had spoken. So the proper officers and workmen proceeded to their parts, and in 7 days the Yatal announced the fire ship to be in float, ready for the journey. Meantime, the selection of the 10 million redeemers had been made, and they came, every one like a brilliant star, to take their rooms in the monarch vessel. Fragapati made Howell commander-in-chief and gave him 10,000 aides. For the curtains and Talij, he made Metrov, goddess of Rook, mistress to the flowing east. And for the spires, he made Ita, mistress of restless morn. She was weaver to Guying and Reth, 4,000 years, and much love, with black eyes piercing. Of music, Fragapati made Theritiv conductor. She was goddess of Helm, an Etherian world in the roadway of Z and Olus, 4,000 years, mistress of Nealt and Exan, one time companion to Etesii, the Veruge, love and wand, sang a witch for her mirth in adversity. I like that. For her mirth in adversity. Of the trumpeters, Fragapati made Bone conductor, and he was god of Ixalata, now on leave of absence. For Acaris, he made Yan the chief. He was surveyor of Otha, an Etherian sea in the Orion Arc of Wade, and Halan Poechava, also on leave of absence during the Red Star Dawn. Of the libraries, he made Heta chief mistress. She was goddess of Vitia in the wells of South Ing, 30,000 years, teacher of Imes in the 10,000 years, in 10,000 years, counselor of the Orion chief, Eris of the Ark Wiames. Besides these, Fragapati distributed the minor offices of the float to such gods and goddesses whose most exalted states were the extreme opposite, that the great journey through Etheria be the traverse of all serious purpose. And thus they started on their course amidst the applause of thousands of millions of Etherians, wishing them love and joy on their mirthful cruise in furtherance of Jehovah's will. Speeding swiftly across the swamps of Ul, where 7 corporal stars were dismembered 1,000 million years ago, now set with Aegean fields and forming nebula. Hold on. I'll start over. Verse 11, on page 154. Speeding swiftly across the swamps of Ul, where 7 corporal stars were dismembered 1,000 million years ago, now set with Augean fields and forming nebula, whereto they bring at times the Druge, the dark spirits of other worlds, that they may take on the semblance of corporal forms to complete their neglected good works in times past. The ship rose freely, and they shot into the pastures of Zeh, where Lepsa, god of corporal star Tessa, 400 years, feedeth 70 million Ezians, colonizing them to truth and good works. Okay, so after all the way up, after they shot into the pastures of Zeh, after they is reference number 4, and 4 is just a small reference. It says and then, but up here in the paragraph it says and they. So the previous version had and then, to whereas this version right here says and they. Okay, I'll just reread the whole verse 11 again. It's pretty long. Speeding swiftly across the swamps of Ul, where 7 corporal stars were dismembered 1,000 million years ago, now set with Augean fields and forming nebula, whereto they bring at times the Druge, the dark spirits of other worlds, that they may take on the semblance of corporal forms to complete their neglected good works in times past. The ship rose freely, and they shot into the pasture of Zeh, where Lepsa, god of corporal star Tessa, 400 years, feedeth 70 million Ezians, colonizing them to truth and good works. Lepsa knew the float was coming, and so had called 1,000 million spectators to look on, knowing they desired to see great Fragapati, and they sang and blew their trumpets, rejoicing, to which the gods and goddesses of the float cast out myriads of Arcean flowers and sweet perfumes, mementos of love. To evil now the ship made way, where 7 Etherian worlds bordered in the arc of Nu, pastures of Elim, god of Ushin, of Usin, were congregated another host of 2,000 million to see them pass, cheering with singing and with trumpets and string instruments. And to this god, Elim, Fragapati caused the banners of the float to salute on the sign Jehovah's name, being friends for 90,000 years. And Elim answered him with 1,000,000 posts of light amid the waving of innumerable banners. Onward moved the float, the fire ship, with its 10 million joyous souls, now nearing the borders of Horeb, the boundary of Fragapati's honored regions, known for hundreds of thousands of years and for his work on many worlds. Here, reaching Savorcum, the roadway of the solar phalanx, near the post of Dan, where were quartered 500 million Etherians, on a voyage of exploration of more than 400 years, rich stored with the glories of great Jehovah's universe. Their canoe, their ship, was almost like a world, so vast and stored with all apparatuses. They talked of going home. Their pilot had coursed the firmament since long before the earth was made, and knew more than 1,000,000 roadways in the Etherian worlds, and were best to travel to witness the grandest contrasting scenes. By their invitation, Fragapati halted there a while, and the hosts interchanged their love and discoursed on their purposes, rejoicing in the glories of Jehovah's everlasting kingdoms. And though they had lived so long and seen so much, everyone had new and wondrous works to tell of. For so great is the inventive power of the Great Spirit that never twice alike will one find the scenes in the Etherian worlds, radiant, differently, moving into everlasting changes, as if each one were to outdo the former in beauty and magnificence. That is amazing. This is beautiful. I love this book. This is why I love it so much. The way that they put together words to tell about some of the great things that's happened in this universe, not just here on the earth. That's the beauty about Owaspy. It gives us more references and information other than the earth, where most religious books and things that we have now that's scattered all over the earth just really talks about what happened here. It doesn't really give us what happens simultaneously in the unseen world. Like, it is really a world, because you have to remember, we came out of there. We're just here in this physical realm for a space of time, right? But we are spirits. That is our home. That is where we come from, right? So this is amazing. And so remember, they're having this discourse, everybody meeting. They seeing Fragapati, because Fragapati is on his way to serve his time on the earth, well, in the heavens of the earth, while commands are passed down to set things right? So remember, there's these different type of slaveries and bondage when the Creator has created all men, all spirits to be free. But during the course of time, as the world grows and develops, people, spirits that are selfish, right? They tend to put people in bondage, tend to make them worship them, when Creator has created all to be free, right? So at different periods of times, there are uproars and things that happen, and saviors, if you want to call them that, but they're nothing more than what we shall be in days to come. And we can even be that here in this day today, when we help people break free from bondages, even like what we've seen in Montgomery, Alabama, right? People coming to other people's aid simply because it's the right thing to do. We tired of the crap, right? So this is one of those periods of times. By their invitation, I'm going back to verse 14. It's only 16 verses, so let me go back to 14. By their invitation, Fragapati halted here a while, and the hosts interchanged their love and discoursed on their purposes, rejoicing in the glories of Jehovah's everlasting kingdoms. And though they had lived so long and seen so much, everyone had new and wondrous works to tell of, for so great is the inventive power of the Great Spirit that never twice alike will one find the scenes in the Ethereal worlds, radiant, differently, moving into everlasting changes, as if each one were to outdo the former in beauty and magnificence. And then again they sped onward, now richly stored with the awe-stirring wonders they had just heard from the strange travelers. Presently now, the float neared the borders of Chinvat, the Earth's vortex, just beyond the orbit of the moon. Here, Fragapati halted for a day, sending swift messengers down to the lower heavens and to the earth to resolve where he should anchor during dawn. And the next day, he ordered the lights lowered and now slowly moved toward the rolling earth, down till he reached the third grade of the plateau from the earth's surface, called Horati. And that is the end of chapter 3. And this is where we're going to pause at today. So everybody that just popped in and hear us pick back up in Owaski, it's good to see you, fam. It's good to see you. All right, so let's hop back over here to the Holy Megillah, chapter 37 on page 549. What languages do these Etherians speak? That's a good question, OCU. You might know that better than me. You asking me because you know, or you don't know, and you think I know. I don't know. Listen, here's what I think, right? Based on all that I've learned from reading Owaski and just understanding the growth of people, I think they can speak whatever language is required for where they're at. That's what I think, based on my understanding, right? Because if they're growing, now maybe some of the newborn Ezians, right? Etherians. Well, Ezians are the newborn in spirit, which we call those who just died over here, but they call them Ezians there because they're newborn. They fully entered the spirit world. They've shed their flesh. But I think as they grow and develop, I think they are able to speak all languages, right? Wherever they go, whatever language, I think they're prepared and they learn it. So that's what I think. That's what I think. Drace and Righteous, shalom, shalom. Kings and Queens Coaching Group, shalom. Jamia, hey girl, hey. Tabitha, greetings to all my beloveds of Eoa. Many blessings to all. I know, right, Tabitha? Look, he popped back in when we started reading the Waspy again. I was joking with him earlier. He probably been here in the background all along. He had to have been here all along to know that we start back. To know that we started back today. He been here the whole time, just hanging out in the background. Ain't nothing wrong with that, fam. Montgomery had everybody speeches. Listen, let me tell y'all something. I was not even able to. I mean, I slept last night, but you hear you in spirit in the background, watching us act the fool in the morning. look. So I really like all these ideas and things been coming to me, and just really thinking about like the unity. I mean, it was so many funny things, reenactments and skits, and just the replaying of stuff that came out of that. But what really sticks out about what happened in Montgomery, Alabama, was the unity of people. Right, the unity of our people, and that's not to discount other people who stand with us, right? But sometimes we got to have a family meeting, right? Like that's one thing that my family was famous for while growing up. My mom and dad always had family meetings, right, to talk about what's going on in our household, right, and what we're doing and how we conduct ourselves when we leave out of this house, right? Granted, we're all a big family, but we have miniature families within the bigger family. You know, some of us look a little bit different, so we know, oh, you John and Mabel's boy, right? Right. So I look at that with the different races of people. It's like individual families within the bigger family, right? And I think it's time that we, this individual family, the Copper Color family, have a family meeting, right? I mean, because we can tell that we've just been fed up. I mean, all over the world, not just here in America, right? Because it's parts of our family all over the world, and they've experienced some of the same things that we a lot of the world sees what's happened because of how America has not that other companies don't have the ability to show things all over the media, but America is pretty much leading in media and social media and all of these things, and a lot of the things that pop off, not that it's not happening in other places, but it's more televised here, right? So like the spotlight is on America. And so I think it's time that, since the world is watching, I think it's time that the smaller family within the bigger family of humans has a meeting, right? It's time for us to unite. Not that we're shutting everybody else out, but we want to make sure that we're okay. It always seems like there's a black sheep in every family. No pun intended. we just happen to be it, right? But what I really looked at was a unity. You could tell our people were just fed up, and it gave joy to all of our family members all across the world to see this. Not that they were beating up on other people who don't look like us, but it gave us joy to see our people stand up for one another, and nobody was afraid of what anybody else might say, if they would go to jail or whatever. I mean, the time is now, like the dispensations and the times are changing, and enough is enough. People are tired of being treated disrespectfully in all kinds of ways. And I believe that a lot of this has happened. Granted, I do believe that some time had to pass, right? There are certain things that happen in certain generations, but this is the generation, I truly believe, that can literally make the change, or be the catalyst for the change, or use these incidents that's happened throughout the world, all over the earth, and what's been mostly televised in America. We can use these as a catalyst for change, to help our people all the way around the world to be treated fairly. And I know it's been a lot of talks about this over the years and decades, but I truly believe this is the generation that can change this. Like, we are literally all over the world, and we saw our people unite all over the world, even if it was just through laughter and being proud of those of us who were there, that stood up, even when we thought that this man that was on the boat dock was just a security guard. And he's actually the co-captain of the Harriet, right? Even when we thought he was just a little old security guard, people stood up for him, and because we sick of the crap. And so I'm looking at the unity that came out of that, and I'm like, as a whole, we need to have a family meeting, right? And not just let that stop with Montgomery, Alabama, but let that be the catalyst for permanent change all the way around, right? A season of change, Tikva. Yes, the Copper family needed this togetherness, right? It's a season of change. And so what I believe should happen, and this is what the last few days, this is why I couldn't sleep. I got so many things that I wrote down. I was talking to my son yesterday about this. I was like, you know how something is just like really strong on you? I was like, I don't even know what to do with this, with the idea or whatever. But I think with this wave of everything, I think I'm gonna use social media. And I might just record a video and I'm gonna just put it out there. And it's a way, like all these ideas, not all these ideas, but it's like one main idea that just came. I'm like, oh my gosh, this really could begin to unite all our people all the way around the world. And the main reason why so many injustices have happened, or people have gotten away with the injustice that they have heaped upon our particular people. Like I said, it's not to discount anybody else that was done wrong, because we're not the only one, but I'm saying everybody in the world knows about the injustices that constantly happen and still happens to the microcosm of us in a bigger family as a whole. You know why? It's because we're not represented really well in the places that are authorized to make these changes, right? In the government sectors. That mainly, right? And I talked about this before quite a few times, but it just keeps coming back to me. I'm like, well, am I supposed to say something about this? And I do here and there, but there's this particular layout that I have for this, right? I mean, I ain't gonna say that I have. I believe the creator has given it to me. And somebody just needs to speak up. But there's a way to connect all of our people, even through the businesses and everything. And it's time. I really believe it's time, right? And people need to start running for some of these positions. Don't sit back waiting for somebody else to help us, waiting for a savior to come save us, because that's not going to happen. You know why? Because we are those saviors. We are not one person that we're waiting to come crack the sky. The unseen realm is giving us the wisdom, the ideas, and the inventions, and the know-how, and the intuitiveness to handle this stuff here. For those of us who still have our flesh here, we are the saviors. We're the ones that's going to make the changes, right? So we need to find those people who are groomed or want to be groomed to take some of these places. And we ain't talking about people that are uncouth. We're talking about people that have high morals and standards, people who cannot be bribed, people who have shown and proven that they can keep their let me rephrase that. What I was about to say. People who have shown that even in the midst of adversity, they've learned how to pull lessons out and keep things going, and they don't just give up when they run into issues. Whether it's people who've learned how to restore their families, people who've learned how to run businesses, because there's the same principles that are being taught, whether it's families or whether it's a business or whether you in government sectors, the same principles are being taught, but you're just in a different avenue. So people need to run for these positions, not just the government, even the local governments, right? When people run, I believe if our people could, I so believe this, that I believe that we got to move fast and it's going to take some work, but I believe that people are already ready in place. They just need the momentum and the people to stand up. We have people in governments and local governments and even school systems that want to speak up and have tried to speak up and have been punished for speaking up and speaking truth because they don't have the momentum behind them. The people that stand behind them, like they did out there on that boat dock in Montgomery, Alabama, people to stand up for the truth, right? And so they back down, or those who do have the boldness and the courage to speak out, like I said, they get penalized, they get fired, they get blackballed, their name gets ran through the mud. You know, we need them people, we need the bros running off the ship. We need the aunties down there. Keep going, sis. We behind you, right? All the people, we need to know that we're standing in agreement no matter where we're at. And not just here in America, but over in China and in Europe, because we're everywhere, right? We're watching for us everywhere. Who is going to stand up? You ever watched the movie Glory before they went into war? And Denzel Washington, they just made it up in their mind. This is what we're going to do. And it was about the Civil War. The same exact thing in the movie Glory. And if I should fall, who is going to pick up the flag and run, right? Like, people can't be afraid. We need people on the front lines that listen. If I go out there, they may shoot me down, but I need to know that we all together. And if they shoot me down, I'll go out there full force, not thinking twice, because if they mow me down, I know y'all gonna still come, right? Even if I get dog piled, I know y'all coming, right? And that's how we got to be with this, right? And the only way this is going to change, even we haven't seen a lot of it, but it's still happening, even in the police force. We need to be well represented in all areas, not just the governments, in the schools and businesses. People need to know that there are upstanding people in our communities, people in the mental health sector or whatever. I mean, make like changes all the way across the board, but we literally have to do a big push, and we have to all just go, and we got to know that we are supporting one another. Even when we're running for the presidency, right? We've only had, we ain't gonna get into all that. But even when we're running for presidency, there should be multiple people, not just the presidency, but the changes actually come from the lower governments, the Congress, right? The Senate, the House of Representatives, and not just the major houses, but the local houses, the state Senate and House of Representatives. We need to be there, right? We need to go in. I ain't gonna say infiltrate, but properly train our people, make sure their character is upstanding. If you got skeletons in your closet, get that stuff cleaned up. If it's something that's there, you made a mistake in your past, okay, well, let's reframe the narrative. Did you deal with it? How do we deal with it? If you're going to run, because we know when you get out there in the forefront and you're running, they go digging for stuff back that you didn't even remember. And be like, oh, shoot, I forgot about that. People start coming out the woodworks. So anything that could be used against you, you need to be upfront about it, right? We need to solve this now, and then you need to present it first. That way they have nothing that they can go dig and pull out of the closet on you, right? You need to reframe it first. Frame it in an appropriate light, not lying, because if you haven't dealt with it, then you need to take a step back. We're talking about people who are honest and upright and have truly made amends and reconciled the different things in their life so that they can hold these positions. They won't have anybody that can hold things over their head. They understand and they know how to use money. They can't be bribed, right? We don't need lobbyists coming in here, getting in their ear or holding things over their head. We need people who are not afraid to stand up and speak the truth and tell you no, regardless of what you think you're going to do to us, right? We got backing of our brothers and sisters all around the globe, right? So if we did that, I believe we can do a big push. We got, you call them old money, of people that's been holding seats for years, and nobody's even coming up against some of these seats because nobody is running. Here in my local area, there's a person that's been holding a seat and hasn't been doing anything. Like 16 years, nobody has run up against this person. And now I'm just like, what are you doing here? Like, this really gets under my skin. It's like nobody runs for these seats. Nobody knows about it, and I think we need to make sure our people are well informed, not just with your local city, but every state. Who are the candidates, right? We need to have the family meeting. Okay, why are we running? And we need to have our own little debates and all of this stuff before they get to the bigger debates. Okay, what if this come out? How are we going to handle this? Like, all of these things, and be honest about it, right? And really get into it. And you know how to get up there, and sometimes they go back and forth and they just want to throw mud and smut. We ain't gonna do that. We want to run a good, clean campaign. So if our brother, whether they're running on the Democratic Party or they're running on the Republican Party, or maybe they're gonna run Libertarian. Matter of fact, I think we need to have them in all three run, right? And so whoever falls out of the race, we're not gonna say anything negative about them, but we're going to run a good race, showing what we can bring to the table, how we can help change the government. And if we happen to fall out of the race because we didn't get enough votes on the Republican side, then who's still running on the Democratic side, right? Fall behind them. I think a lot of time we focus on some of those things that really ain't got nothing to do with the price of tea in China, right? And people nitpick on small things, and we really need to look at the overall picture of what's really happening. Who is the best candidate, whether they get in on the Republican side or the Democratic side. We really should not have a government that's split, right? And then for so many years, our government, the different parties have been split, and it really shouldn't be that way, right? It should be even though they have contrasting views, but there should be a way to complement one another. So you're always going to have both on both sides, but at least they should stand for the highest the highest morals for these particular arguments, right? And be able to find a middle ground where we can work together across the board, not just for the betterment of our people, but for all people in general. But I think in order for this to happen, we need to be represented very well in all these areas and levels of government, and even in businesses everywhere. So all of this, I'm just like, oh my God, I cannot sleep. And so I just been woke for hours, all of these things just running through my head. I'm like, oh, who gonna listen to little old me? Right. And so I'm just like, so, but yeah. Topics of Cosmine Cow, what's going on, fam? Easy at night, right? Listen, Tabitha said, what I've noticed in the Caribbean with the Copper family is this: the other human families see us with the same lens as the past slave masters, right? And we're the ones that have to change that narrative, right? We can't sit back and wait for everybody else to do it, because we see what has gotten us here, even in 2023, right? Where we're still like fighting for rights and having to stand up because somebody else is looking down upon us because of how we look, our skin color, right? And it doesn't matter what shade the copper color people, from the lightest of the copper color to the darkest, the midnight blue black of us. Right? We shouldn't have to be fighting for this, but what I believe is and don't get me wrong, but I believe we're just as much of the problem. We are a big part of the problem because we're not making sure that we're in these places. And I believe the key factor for us to do this is just uniting all the way across the board, and we can do it, right? I mean, we may fight amongst ourselves, but don't let nobody else try and run up on our family, because we'll put our fight on hold and we're gonna unite together, just like what we saw on the boat dock of Montgomery, Alabama. Not today. Enough is enough, right? So, right, Tikva, the homeschooling, segregation, indigenous of this land, new government. There definitely needs to be a government within the bigger government, right? Where we govern, we learn how to govern ourselves, our people, all the resources that we need, and not just those. And I mentioned even the healthcare workers, helping our people who have been strung out on drugs, they have mental health issues. All of us, there needs to be a network where all our people know that we can go to in every community, all the way, not just through America, but all over the earth, right? In China, in Europe, in South America, Canada, shucks, in Russia, in Africa, right? We need to know that we stand together, and there's a way to unite everybody. Like, and it's so simple, right? Yeah, and I didn't talk through the rest of the time we got, so we ain't gonna get to Peter the Ebonite today. But this is just I'm at one of those phases again where I just can't sleep and it won't let me go. I'm like, okay, all right, what am I supposed to do? So Tikva. Look, me and my husband talked about it, right? Run for that office and replace it. It's a him, it's a he, right? It's a gentleman. But I can't run at this moment. I would absolutely love to, but I still have a bunch of younger children and things I would like to, and I believe I'm going to in years to come, but things shouldn't wait for me. That's why I'm like, we need more, like some of us who can should, right? Prepare yourself, get educated, and all this. Even in the local communities, there should be always inside a place where we can go to know who's running, right? When the elections are coming up, not just the major one here in 2024. Let's not believe. I believe there is somebody that'll be good for this country, and I don't necessarily believe it's some of the candidates that we've seen previously, those that we already know that's been put in a bid to run, because the cutoff date, the latest cutoff to actually run, and I got to double check that, but the cutoff date hasn't come yet, right, to run for the actual office of the president. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that's, I want to say, prepared. We may not have heard of them, but I believe we can get the momentum going, right? More people be willing to step out, right? Just look at what we did when we got former President Obama in office, right? That even though a lot of people, we split down a family. Some people like him being in the office, some of us didn't. Everybody got their own opinions, but look at the unity of what happened when he was running. People that ain't never voted before, right? And this is something we can use. I know some people, I ain't voting, they ain't got nothing to do. I'm in the heavenly kingdom. All right. Listen, we're living here.
BRICS just now changed like the global currency, and it costs $50 equals to $1 for BRICS nations. Once again,
they may not know what you talk about when you say BRICS. They might think
so BRICS is basically, the Allied and Axis powers. BRICS is basically the Axis powers. That's really it. That's all they are.
He gonna be in government somewhere. He using these terms, probably going over some of our heads.
You think I'm not gonna try?
Listen, I'm telling you, listen.
It's the fact that it takes $50 to equal one BRICS nation dollar that cuts the American currency down in half. It's already not worth nothing. We're already off the gold and silver standard. We can print paper out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, we have no type of at all backing whatsoever. And globally for us, that's terrible, because now trading is going to be way harder. Boy, you don't understand. Stuff here is going to be very much priced out. You think things are bad now when it comes to pricing? Just you wait. I won't be surprised if everybody just say, we're not paying nothing. Because no, you think rent is bad? What y'all about $3,000? About $3,000 on this? Yeah, it's gonna go up.
Boy.
It's gonna X by 2. Yeah, no. Don't got time for that. What? I'm not paying nothing. Okay, they are not getting nothing out of me. I don't care about credit no more, because that's not gonna be a thing.
Listen, he's still developing. He's still developing.
No,
future president in the making.
Look, this is what I'm trying to say.
He's still developing.
Also, when it comes to the presidency, look at somebody called RFK. That's JFK's nephew. Look at him. He's continuing his brother's.
Hey.
What? RFK is good.
To run for president?
Have you been looking at him? RFK was JFK's, and he's just finishing with RFK. JFK did?
No.
Why?
Listen, I ain't even talking about all that. I'm talking to our family right now.
Y'all, what's good?
The smaller family within the bigger family, right? We gotta have a family meeting, right? And
Alabama Slammer. That's what did it.
What?
Alabama Slammer.
It did.
After that chair.
Alabama Slammer.
After that chair, everybody united. Say, you know what? Listen to this.
Joseph ben Yisrael, shalom. Elijah, what's going on, fam? Nobody's afraid of the false deities anymore year after year. The great shift is happening, right? Listen, what? I think that was Jalen's.
This is mine. Was this out?
It was in the microwave.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, that's why they cut off the Grand Canyon. So much riches and artifacts down there, right? So listen, even in those areas, archaeologists and stuff, we have to be well represented. If things are going to be preserved and the truth is going to be told truthfully, right? Not covering things up or whitewashing or whatever you want to call it, changing history. We need to be there. And this has been happening this way because we are not there, right? This is why we need to have the family meeting. I think it's this generation this generation, even the generation after us, the younger generation, my son's generation, they're not scared to do anything, right? So this is this is the generation that our ancestors have been praying for, where enough is enough. Where okay, all right, son, love you.
Love you too.
Um, so this, just sum it up, this is the generation where I really believe everything can change. And even in this next presidential run, I believe we can really make a difference. But not just that, don't just run for the main presidency, but the local offices as well, because the president, really, he's just a spokesperson, and he's really just putting out what the Congress gives, the House of Representatives and the Senate. He has a little bit of power. He can do things with the executive orders and everything. But for the most part, his hands are tied, and everything has to be approved and run through Congress, which is why we need to make sure we're very well represented in Congress, right? And even those going in Congress, we need to also be well represented in the Supreme Court. There is what? I got to double check. I think it's still just one of us there, right? That is not an even. The odds are still not even yet. So even those going in, most of y'all can't just hop to the Supreme Court. You have to have been in law, doing something already. So even go into some of these positions in the lower government and work your way up. If you can skip levels just because you get just that good, and you've been out there in the community making your name known and actually making change, causing things to happen, I believe there are some levels you can jump. But some of us need to go in there with our sights and our minds on taking up a seat in the Supreme Court, right? And that way we can make sure that these unjust laws, things that they go back and forth where they should be changed, they not even really 100% human, like all of this crap. There have been amendments and stuff. Then we need to be well represented where we can affect change all the way across the board, from the lowest levels even to the school curriculums, right? Whether people want to have their children in public schools because they have no other option, they have no choice, or you have more freedoms like the homeschool community does, and you can make a choice, and we won't be so afraid to, even if that is our only option, to do public school system. We should feel okay with that, knowing that they're going to get teaching, and it's going to be a curriculum that's based on a truth, and not based not based on falsities and lies, things like that, right? So I believe if we get in there, we can the all that we've been waiting on us. We really have been waiting on us, right? Right. Brian Joe said Clarence Thomas is the only one and he not black. I love us. Listen, but yeah. Look, Tikva said Clarence Thomas don't count. He has been bought and sold. Right. So that's what I'm saying. We need to really go in here, y'all. Clarence Thomas recruits himself. We got caught in a scam again, right? See, all of us, right? Listen, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Not that that should give anybody an excuse, because you should be an adult. You should be able to think through things before you make a choice, not thinking afterwards like, oops, I got caught, let me fix it. No, that should kick in before you choose to make a decision, right? If you know that you're going to run for office or be in some place of prominence where you're going to have influence, think about your decisions and what you do before you even get there. That's one of the things me and my husband talked about, even with some of the stuff we've experienced in our life growing up, even with bills and other people, the entanglements and all of these things. It's like we really have to really, we made mistakes, right? But if we're gonna at some time in the future be in some of these places, we know how they fight dirty, right? So we got to clean this stuff up. We got to make amends, like, and truly from our heart make amends, not do it because we may be somewhere or somebody someday, but because it's right. So that way when we step into that place, and I'm gonna use a scripture from the New Testament, right? Don't kill me, right? But when we get into that place, or we find ourselves in that place one day in our life, we can say Satan comes for me, but he finds nothing in me, or there is nothing that you can come up against me with, because I'm pure, I'm clean. I've cleaned out the closet. There are no skeletons in my closet. And what was in there, I've been transparent and I've been honest before the people on what that was and how I've turned this negative into a positive, right? So we all should, I mean, it's a stepping stone. We should all grow. But most people, it's like, oh, gotta hide that. Can't nobody know about that. People who are too embarrassed to be transparent about their lives and the mistakes that they've made, they have no business running for any kind of office. You got to get those things in order, because when you run for office, you become the voice of the people, right? The government was made to give the people a voice. Right now, the government act like we the people don't exist, and you are there because we put you there. People, like I said, people got these things in their thoughts about voting, but that's one of the biggest powers that we can use and we can will for our advantage, to make sure we even the stakes all the way across the board, and make sure we get good people that represent our little smaller microcosm of the bigger family. Make sure we're well represented. Everybody else, mostly everybody else, with the exception of a couple races of people within the bigger human race, um, they've been represented well all the way across the board. The Caucasian portion of the human race has been represented very well for a very long time, right? And they still hold the majority of those places. We see people from different nationalities, a couple Hispanic people. I mean, a few. Um, Maybe we probably running neck and neck, right? But even that portion of the human race, they need to be well represented throughout everything, right? So there needs to be a representation of each one of us in every area, in the police force, in the school systems, homeschool communities, um, in the hospital sector, medical, health care, military, all of these things. And if we are able to come together and unite like this, even some of the I'd say the bigger world problems with other countries, they would begin to resolve themselves, right? Because now we'd be able to unify all the way, not just across the states, but all the way across the continents, right? We can reach out and literally grab our brothers and sisters' hand from America to China to Africa to Europe, Antarctica, Russia, and this time we don't let go, right? This time we don't let go. So, um, sorry, done deregistered my vote. I'm good. And that's cool. But for those of us who want to see the change and actually impact the change and actually do something that can be seen all the way across the board, I'm all for voting, right? I'm all for voting. But don't just get out there voting willy nilly, not knowing who you voting for or what they stand for, right? All of this stuff, it needs to be um, everybody really needs to understand. You need to know about your candidates, people who run, like I said, not just for the political office, even for the school board and all of that stuff, because they have races too. Local governments, state governments, all of those things, y'all. Look, and I'm over my time today. We ain't even get over here to the Holy Megillah, but I just wanted to say that. We'll pick this back up Monday. All right, beautiful people. Hold on. Right. Nazarene is saying we have to become the change that we want to see, right? It really starts with us. And this definitely is the time. And Creator is truly unstoppable, right? And He make us unstoppable too when we learn how to unite, and we can literally affect the change. And in this heaven we always talking about, we can literally cause it to manifest here on this earth. So, that being said, beautiful people, Father, we thank you for light, the power of light and truth in the darkest of places, y'all. It is Friday, August the 11th, 2023, day 89 of year 5 of reading through books, laws, and prophets, another 5-year consecutive day count. It is day 1469. Today we read chapter 3 in the book of Frag Patty in Owaspy, pages 153 to 155. And that's it. And then we just got talking a little bit more about coming together, all right? And affecting change all the way across the universe, right? There's so much power. When we unite here, we get all of the unseen forces we want to call it ancestors, everybody will begin to stand behind us, and we'll see the merging of the two realms, right? And it'll be something we've never seen before. Like I can see it, I can almost taste it. It won't let me go, right? All right, beautiful people. So that's it for today. I love y'all. I'll see y'all back here Monday morning, bright and early, 6:15 ish. I've been doing more like 7:30. I remember not sick, but Vanette, she said, why don't you just set it for 6:30? I said, because I really want to be there at 6:15. I know sometimes we won't get there to 6:30, but in between that time, we're going. All right, beautiful people, that's it. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all back here Monday. Enjoy y'all weekend, and yeah, enjoy y'all weekend. I love y'all. Peace.
But I see through you.
I'm from outer space. I got Milky Way for blood, evolution in my veins. I'm gold, I've been far away. I'm illuminated now, making moves.
What did you just do to me?
I pushed your astral form out of your physical form.
What's in that tea? Psilocybin? LSD?
It's just tea. With a little honey.
What just happened?
For a moment, you entered the astral dimension.
What?
A place where the soul exists apart from the body.
Why are you doing this to me?
To show you just how much you don't know. Open your eye.
Been dreaming about flying for a long time. I had a vision from the birds, they want a cold sign.
What's happening? This isn't real, this isn't real, this isn't real, this is...
Dreaming about flying for a long time. I had a vision from the birds, they want a cold sign.
His heart rate is getting dangerously high.
He looks all right to me. You think that this material universe is all there is?
I don't need gravity, I don't need
What mysteries lie beyond the reach of your senses? Existence, mind and matter meet. Thoughts shape reality.
I don't need gravity, I just need growth. I'm a fine line, yeah, I'm a mislead of this illusion. I am not really here, I'm an intrusion. I don't swim or sink, I just float.
Some benevolent and life-giving, filled with malice and hunger. Dark places where powers older than time and waiting.
I don't swim or sink, I just float.
Who are you in this vast multiverse?
I don't need gravity, I just need I don't need gravity, I just need growth.
Have you seen that before in a gift shop?
I don't need gravity, I just need growth.
Teach me.
No.
Is it a quick rumble? I won't ever ever fall, never stumble. And I don't need to be humble. Break down walls like Jericho crumble.